Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all of the viewers from around the world. This is our host Vaibhav for today's session of JForex indicator. I will be making you familiar with a indicator named MACD, which is the short form for moving average convergence and divergence. This is a momentum indicator which is derived using EMA. We use different periods of EMAs and then we use the EMA of the prior two EMAs to arrive at a combination which helps us determine whether the momentum is bearish, bullish, and how fast the underlying security is moving. So this is a indicator which is quite favorite amongst all kinds of traders. This is an indicator which gives signals which are generally reliable, and by generally I mean that no indicator is going to give you the signals which are going to be foolproof. But if it does the job more than 50% time, or if it is good enough, it might even do the job 60 to 70% of the time. I think it is it has to be considered a good indicator because markets are random and we can't rely on any one indicator to generate the profitable signals all the time. So now we head to the JForex 4 platform, the newly released trading platform from the Dukascopy Bank SA. This is the Euro USD chart. Euro USD is one of the favorite currency instrument to trade with, and also most of you are going to be very much familiar with it, so we stick with the instrument choice. And now coming to this adding of the indicator, you can do it two ways. You can go through the add indicator option where you will find it listed amongst the momentum indicators. So here it is going to be just below this Eller-Lager's relative strength index, which we saw in the last session, MACD. Or you can simply do a quick search, type in the MACD, and all you have to do is then just click on this first one, the MACD extended and MACD FIX, which we will consider in subsequent sessions, will be dealt with later on. Now today it's the turn of the moving average, convergence, and divergence. So here I have plotted it with the default parameters, the input parameters as per the default setting of 12, 26, and 9. Here the 12, 26, and 9 stands for the candle periods which are going to be taken into consideration for the purpose of calculation of these MACD signal and the MACD histogram chart. The formula is relatively simple. We take into consideration the difference, the divergence between the 12 period EMA and the 26 period EMA. So we calculate these two EMAs independently. Then we subtract the 26 period EMA from the 12 period EMA, which is going to be more responsive to the recent price fluctuations. And once we arrive at that difference, which is plotted as the MACD, we further take the 9 period EMA of the MACD signal and sorry, not MACD signal, it is called MACD signal after the calculation. So we take the 9 period EMA of the MACD to arrive at MACD signal. So these two then are plotted to get this histogram in place, and it is simply the difference between these MACD and MACD signal line. So we have these MACD and MACD signal line plotted on this chart, and the classical interpretation is simple. We can use it as the signaling mechanism to look for profitable trading opportunities. It was also one of the first indicator I used in the financial market when I started to trade like 6 to 7 years back. Now coming back to its concept, the concept is simple. When we have the MACD line and the MACD signal line, we consider the relative output values of these two indicators. And if we have the MACD line above the MACD signal line, then that is considered as a buy signal, but then you also have to pay attention to the absolute value if the momentum indicators are in bearish territory or bullish territory. So that also carries a important value here. So whenever we get the crossover, when we have the MACD signal, and if it is above the MACD value, then that is considered bearish. And when we get this crossover where the MACD crosses above the MACD signal, that indicates the bearish momentum might be waning, but it is going to take some time till we get these both the output values above zero, and only then we can consider that the momentum is now turning bullish. So we have to be aware, we have to be mindful of these two possibilities. We have to consider these output values in their relative terms as well as in their absolute terms, and only then we can make a good trading decision. So here we have the MACD signal line. If we consider this, then the MACD signal line was above the MACD, and we had this crossover. That means the bullish momentum is waning, but it doesn't mean that we can short it. So there are two things to be kept in mind, that when we get this crossover of the MACD and MACD signal line, it indicates the waning of the underlying momentum. If it is in bullish territory, that means this might be the time to book profit, and if you have position in the bearish territory and then we get this crossover in the opposite direction, then that might be considered as the signal to book profit of the sale trade. But for new trades to be taken, this crossover needs to take place in that same territory. When we get the crossover where we have the MACD crossing above the MACD signal line, and at the same time the outputs are in positive territory, that is the time to initiate new long trades. Like here we had the MACD and MACD signal line both in positive territory. The MACD crossed above the MACD signal, and we saw this bullish momentum continuing for almost a day later on. So these are the kind of signals which are likely to grow more profitable, as we will be having this momentum as well as the initiation of the new leg of the momentum. The fresh momentum will be there. And for sale trade, the same concept can be utilized when we get the crossover where we get MACD again crossing below the MACD signal line, and both these values are in negative territory. That means the bearish momentum is now again entering into the second leg of its run on the lower side, and this might be the time to initiate the new trade after having seen consolidation of the prior move. So that way we will have the probability on the higher side for making money. Okay. Another interpretation where you can take into consideration these output values is the divergence. When we have the momentum on the bearish side, but we see the histogram rising, but the momentum is not really on the rise. That kind of divergence can also be a signal that the price is also likely to follow suit, and we can try to profit from this sort of divergence where we have the momentum on the bearish side, but the histogram is there showing the bullishness. Then we can see that there is a divergence between the price moves and the plotting of these output value, and one way or the other it will have to converge. So either the underlying instrument is going to change the direction, or it is going to start a new rally in coming time, so we have to get ready and wait for new crossover to take place, which is going to give us a good idea of on what side the new trend is likely to get this instrument of our choice, the Euro USD. All right. Now we see what are the editing options provided to us on these JForex platform, so we can customize this indicator to take advantage of its signaling mechanism. We can go for different types of applied prices, the close price, the open price, the high price, the low price, median price, typical price, weighted close price. So we get these all three types of signals where we have the fast period, slow period, signal period defined. So depending on which kind of applied price you are going to use, you will see slight difference, and you will have bit of different responsiveness in its plotting, and there is going to be slight variation in its signal generation, the crossover. All right. Now I am going to restore it back to the close price. The calculation period for the fast period, slow period, signal period can also be changed. Now we were looking at the combination of 12, 26 and 9. So this combination can also be altered if you want to reduce it further to make MACD more responsive. You can do that as well. So if you want to reduce it to 7, 14 and 5, where you will have these MACD becoming a lot more responsive, you can do that as well. Now here you will notice that the MACD has become a lot more responsive, but the interpretation remains the same. We have to pay attention to what side the price moves are happening, and only when we have all the three parameters, the price action, the MACD and MACD signal lines both in the same territory, I think that is the moment, that is the time to initiate the new trades in the same direction. All right. Now coming to fast period again, I'm going to restore it back to 12, or let's try out what happens when we increase these two higher values, say 50 and here 20. Then the signals generated are going to have some lag, but these signals are likely to be more sustained, and we will be having these trends which are generated sustaining themselves for quite long period of time. So we will have this case where lag is going to be significant for this indicator, but at the same time we can have more confidence in the signal generated by the indicator. So there is going to be this trade-off between taking these trades using the lower time frame and the higher time frame for the calculation period. So we get now back to the default combination. 12 slow is going to be 50. So now I am going to restore it back to the default values. All right. MACD. Then comes the color combination. You can try out these different color combinations. To make chart look interesting. Alright, so we have got the output, levels, advanced, recalculate on new candle. So here we have this. Okay, so this is looking a lot more different. If you want the output of this indicator to remain fixed throughout the candle period, then all you have to do is go for this. The MACD signal, MACD histogram, all these values will remain fixed throughout the current candle period, and new values will be plotted only when new candle is plotted in the next candle period. Alright. Then comes the highlight time period zone, calculate from custom data. Instrument, you can use it from the chart. It can be same as the chart or the candle period, which can be defined separately from the chart, or it can be same as the chart. Suppose if you want to define it different from the chart, then you can take any candle period of your choice and define it. Whereas now we are getting the calculation of the MACD done for 30 minutes, being its defined candle period, whereas the chart is of hourly time frame. All right, so here we are getting these different plotting compared to what we were observing when the candle period was defined as per the chart. So here, even though the chart is of 5 minutes, we have this MACD plotted as per the candle period being 30 minutes. All right. So this is how these indicators, some of the customization options work. Now let us go back to the editing options again. We have shorter period display values, which can be defined at the custom period end, start, or custom period middle, or each new candle. We can go for these options as well. The side of the spread can be ask or bid, or it can be simply used from the chart. If you want the indicator to be available on all the candle periods, you have to opt in for this. If you opt out of this, then you have to specify on which time frames the indicator should be plotted, and only on those time frames the indicator will be plotted. So here on hourly and 5 minutes we will have this MACD indicator, but for other candle periods there won't be any plotting of the MACD, as we have defined the indicators only for these two time frames. All right. The base period can be 4 hours or any of these three other options, none, 1 day, or week. If you want the indicator again back on all the candle periods, you have to just opt in for this and it will appear back. So guys, that's it from my side for today's session. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can write back to me in the feedback section and I will be more than happy to take the discussion forward. For further coverage of the market developments, do check out the Dukascopy Analytics page. We are also available on the Facebook. You can reach out to us there too for trying out these combinations of the indicator. You'll need the assistance of the JForex platform, for which I have also included the link. So do check it out. Right after this session, there is another technical session coming up. So do stay tuned. I'll be back tomorrow with a new indicator to explain with, work with, and we will see how we can take advantage of these various indicators provided on the platform to design a profitable trading system. So I will be back tomorrow. Thank you all for joining in. See you tomorrow again. Goodbye.